films, cassettes. Gosh, I miss those times, man.
When it comes to premium helicopters, the base standard for comparison is the KA-50, sitting at battle rating 10.7. While this helicopter is infamous for being broken and overpowered, some of the other rank 6 helicopters are more balanced. One of these is the G-Lynx. Essentially, this was a modification to a real-life Lynx helicopter. It had an upgraded transmission, as well as a few other upgrades. This gave it vastly better performance than the standard helicopter, and for a time, held the top speed for the fastest helicopter in the world. While it certainly does have speed in game, helicopters are more known for their killing power, rather than their top speed. So how does this cheeky British premium fare up? Alright lads, today we're obviously talking about the G-Lynx. This is a battle rating 10.0 rank 6 attack helicopter located in the British territory. This is of course a premium, and it's going to set you back 7,860 golden eagles to purchase the helicopter. This is quite a hefty price tag and is around $40 or €40 in game. Being a premium, to put this vehicle in your lineup is going to cost you 10,000 silver lions. Now with helicopters, I wouldn't really recommend getting the expert and ace qualification, as it doesn't really have a massive effect on gameplay. But regardless, it'll cost you 1,620,000 silver lions for the expert qualification and 2,200 golden eagles for the ace qualification. In realistic battles, repair cost is pretty low at 3,120 silver lions. Going on to the rewards, and when playing with a premium account and on realistic battles, you can expect an RP modifier of 642% and a silver lion modifier of 795%. Being a helicopter, you do only get the one standard camouflage, which is a little bit disappointing. So boys, seeing as you can buy a KA-50 for the same price thereabouts. So lads, seeing as you can pretty much buy a KA-50 for the same amount of money, is it even worth buying the G-Lynx? Well, stick around to find out. I mentioned in the introduction that the G-Lynx is fast, and boy is it, being able to reach a top speed of 360 km per hour. For comparison, the KA-50 can only reach 310 km per hour. While this sounds impressive on paper, just as I said in the introduction as well, the performance of attack helicopters isn't really defined by their top speed, rather their agility and firepower. But like I said, the G-Lynx has two Rolls-Royce GAM60 engines, which can get the helicopter a top speed of 360 km per hour. It also has a service ceiling of 5,400 meters, but unless you want to be Tunguska food, I would recommend staying as low to the deck as possible in this helicopter. One of the major positives of the G-Lynx is in fact its manoeuvrability. Being based on a light utility helicopter, which was already famed for its manoeuvrability, the upgraded transmission, as well as the other upgrades, really did make the G-Lynx one of the most agile and fast helicopters in the game. Some of the larger helicopters such as the Mi-24s and KA-50s are kind of unable to do barrel rolls or flip manoeuvres. The lighter helicopters like the G-Lynx and the Gazelle, they're a lot more mobile and agile, but again, while this is impressive and can be used to evade incoming missiles or to quickly get down below trees if a missile is approaching you, agility in a helicopter isn't really that useful. It's not like a Japanese Zero where you can quickly evade an incoming enemy, as most incoming threats are going to be missiles, rather than actual enemy players. But overall, the performance of the G-Lynx is very good for a helicopter. It's fast, agile, and fun to fly around maps. Alright, moving on to the weaponry, and being a premium helicopter, you will of course get access to all of the weapons as soon as you purchase this vehicle. But the stock weapon of the G-Lynx is actually a 20mm fixed cannon, mounted on the left hand side of the aircraft, if you choose to take it. This is the Oerlikon KAD-B cannon. You can carry a total of 570 rounds of ammunition, and you have a fire rate of 1000 rounds per minute. While this gun can be useful for fending off enemy incoming jets, it isn't really that useful when ground attacking. Whereas the 30mm on the KA-50 can be used to ground attack, due to its large caliber and heavy size. Compared to the 20mm on this helicopter, it just doesn't have the punching power to get through the tops of most enemy tanks. So I wouldn't recommend taking it, if you're mainly going to be focusing on killing enemy tanks. The cannon is also mounted where the anti-aircraft missiles are mounted, meaning you can take the cannon and 2 air-to-air missiles, or you can take no cannon and carry a total of 4 air-to-air missiles. The choice is yours, but I usually go for the 4 anti-air missiles. We then move on to the rockets. These are the M247 Hydras. They travel at a top speed of 739 meters per second and contain a high explosive anti-tank warhead, containing 1.19 kilos of TNT. This gives some reasonably good post-penetration damage. and you do stand a good chance of penetrating if you hit a target, as the high explosive anti-tank warhead allows you to punch through 290mm of flat armour, and even when attacking armour angled at 60 degrees, you still have a very respectable 145mm of penetration. While these rockets are alright by themselves, due to the fact that you get access to anti-tank guided missiles, you shouldn't really be using the rockets. Speaking of which, we come on to our first ATGM. This is the TOW-2, or the BGM-71D. These are SAKO guided or semi-active command line of sight, which basically means you will have to manually guide these missiles onto a target. They travel very slow though, at 329m per second, and have god-awful range, with only 3.75 km. When compared to the Ka-50's Vikirs, which have a 10km max range, the TOW-2s are very lackluster. Where they don't disappoint however, is their TNT warhead. Carrying 4.1 kilos of TNT, you have very good post-penetration damage with these missiles. An arguable downside however, is the penetration. Whereas the Vikir missiles and the later Hellfires which we'll show next, the TOW-2 can only penetrate 800mm of flat armour and 400mm of armour angled at 60 degrees, compared to 1000mm of the Vikirs and 1100 of the Hellfire. Again, speaking of which, we have the AGM-114B Hellfire. It's worth noting here that this is not the K variant of the Hellfire found on the later Apaches, only the B variant. This is laser guided, not SAKO, and the Hellfire has a top-down attack capability, meaning the missile comes back down on top of a target, hitting the much more delicate roof, which usually leads to one-shots, if not heavily critted tanks. Straight away however, the Hellfire is much faster, with 475m per second top speed. The range is also doubled, going up to 8km, whereas the TOW-2s only had 3.75. One of the downsides however is the TNT filler in the warhead. It can only carry 3.1 kilos, a little bit less than the TOW-2B. Things brighten up again however when we come onto the penetration. When you're attacking flat armour, you can penetrate 1100mm of armour. When you're attacking armour angled at 60 degrees, your penetration does drop down, but it's still a very respectable 550mm. Of the two anti-tank guided missiles you can carry, in my opinion, the Hellfires are by far the best choice. They have better range, speed, penetration, and they feel like they have better post-penetration damage as well, despite the slightly less warhead size. We then come on to the final weapon available for the G-Lynx, the AIM-92 Stinger. This is an all-aspect infrared guided air-to-air missile, developed from a manpad. They have a very impressive all-aspect lock range of 6km, but only a maximum launch range of 5km, which is strange. While this is impressive, its maximum overload of 10 Gs is not. The TNT warhead of this missile is also pretty atrocious, at only 540 grams of TNT, which usually leads to a lot of crits rather than a lot of kills. You can carry 2 of these air-to-air missiles, as well as a cannon, or 4 air-to-air missiles, which as I said, is my preferred choice. When flying into a battle, I'll usually take the 4 AIM-92 Stingers, as well as 8 Hellfire missiles, as I find this to be the most effective way of getting air and ground kills in this helicopter. Before we get into the conclusion, let me know down below what you guys think about the G-Lynx, and which tank, plane, helicopter or ship you guys would like to see reviewed next. The glory days of the G-Lynx, in my opinion, are long gone. If you go back long enough in my channel, you'll find that I made a montage reusing the G-Lynx quite a while ago, a few years ago. Now if you watch that montage, you'll see a lot has changed from the game. Back then you could take helicopters out with full weaponry at the start of a match, and basically spawn kill people from 8km away with the Hellfire missiles. Back then, the G-Lynx probably was the most powerful helicopter in the game. It was a battle between the G-Lynx and the Tiger HAP. The Ka-50 was yet to be introduced, and when it was introduced, the Ka-50 just completely broke all the balance in helicopters. Something which hasn't been fixed to this day, which is a great indicator of Gaijin's development efforts. All that being said, the additions of new systems and anti-air defense networks hasn't really been too kind for the G-Lynx. Yes, it's fast, yes, it's agile, but with so many incredibly capable air defense weapons like the Tunguska, ADATs and all the other ones, it's kind of not the best investment in my opinion. 10,000 golden eagles for this thing are the best part of that. It's a lot of money, especially if you're quite a young player or you don't have a job. And to be honest, the British helicopter tech tree isn't really that good, it's just an Apache. You can kind of just play the Americans, it's probably a much better grind. And while I do enjoy flying the G-Lynx, its battle rating 10.0 allows it to go into a lot lower battle rating than the Ka-50. But with battle rating 11.0 basically just being a vacuum at the minute, you kind of just do get sucked up into top tier anyway. So to be perfectly honest with you lads, I do enjoy the G-Lynx. but I wouldn't recommend people buying it. While it can get kills with its Hellfires and AIM-920 Stingers, or AIM-92 Stingers, sorry, the glory days of this helicopter is just long gone. Alright lads, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing to the channel. You can also leave a like and a comment, which again, also boosts me in the algorithm, helping my channel to grow. You can also follow me on Twitter, as well as Twitch. And if you're a huge fan of the channel, you can become a member of the YouTube channel, which will give you a unique icon next to your comment, in both comments under videos and on YouTube live streams. Once again, thank you very much for watching this far into the video lads, and I'll see you in the next one.